A lovely morning and warm welcome to the program Today's Business. Kunle Ariyo is my name. Product faking and adulteration is a global menace with origin mainly from Asia and destination largely in Africa, where counterfeiting cut across all segments of production. Perpetrators use both formal and non-formal channels of distribution to move their product into different countries. Counterfeiting drugs seem to be the most dangerous on socio-economic development of any nation. So this morning we're taking a look at fake drugs and its implication on the economy. My guest is here, but we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll hit the ground running. To stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, the program is still Today's Business, and today we're focusing on fake drugs and its implication on Nigeria's economy. And I have a pharmacist to do justice to it. I have Mr. Aderemi Alfred Olukoju, Chairman, Association of Hospital and Administrative Pharmacists on Dorset Branch. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
A pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with this because of those people actually at home watching this program. How would you describe fake drug?
Fake drugs is a very wide thing. You know, when we were in school then, we just said adulterated drugs, you know, and sometimes it could be the active, not enough. But now it could now be a situation where they will just put something that is off it completely. That means they can put like powdered milk, they can put ash, you know, and they will just put it in the capsule and give it to the public as drugs. So it's a new dimension. It has gone haywire. And unfortunately for us, you know, so we have some collaborators from the Asian countries, in which case we go to Indians, we go to China, and we bring in these fake drugs, not minding the effect on the economy. You know, it is a situation where they will just go there, put anything. They can say 500 milligram, and instead of 500 milligram paracetamol, they can put 50 milligram paracetamol. But it looks the same thing, and they'll put label it 500 milligram. And their hope is to get money. You understand? Because when they sell it, that means they have sold 10 tablets instead of 1 tablet. So that is their calculation. And sometimes they will just put stash, only stash, you know, because all they want is money. But unfortunately, our people, the way we buy the drugs, we don't even know whether they are fake.
Let's go to, we'll soon get to that. Because
Okay.
I want us to know why, again, our people go to these Asian countries that you have mentioned to actually import drugs to Nigeria?
Why they go to, I think the genesis was the time that the economy of Nigeria was a bit bad and the Western manufacturers left the country around, I think it happened around 93. The Nigerian heads of this world, the Roche, even Pfizer, they divested. And then the people that are their business partners now went, what are we going to do? So they went to Turkey, to places that they can get an alternative. By the time they go there and they now realize that they can even get some drugs at a very good price, and they make money, they put the price of the Western people on it, and they now thought of, what do? We can even not put anything because they are not pharmacists, and they can make more money. And unfortunately for us, there was a time in which case, this import license is restricted to pharmacists alone. But at a point, they give it to anybody. So at that point that they give it to businessmen, it becomes a business, entrepreneur. So people don't think about the health because as a pharmacist, you'll be trained, that the health of the patient is number one. So your mind, your conscience has been, trained and disciplined.
If I get you correctly, what
Yes.
you are saying exactly is that at a point, pharmacists in Nigeria could not produce drugs to meet the demand of local needs here.
Really, we have not had a situation where we will be able to be self-sufficient in pharmaceutical production. Okay. We don't produce everything. But the Western nations helped us. Some of them come here and have their manufacturing plants. But unfortunately the economy could not sustain them, they left. So at that point, we rely mostly on importation. And the best place to go to get the cheap drugs are the Asia and, these Asian countries. And in that country, they are also very corrupt. So they introduce some fake drugs to our people that you can even make money through this means. And therefore, they buy into it and begin to do it. And there was a time also that we don't have NAFDAC at all. All control regulation of drugs is being done by Federal Ministry of Health. And Federal Ministry of Health don't have enough personnel. So they don't even register these products. You just bring them in and you sell. So since you know that you just bring them in, you sell, people just begin to bring in anything. Both good and bad and the ugly. And, it's an easy way to make money because drugs sells as much as food. So, and when they have tasted it that, there's a lot of money in this business, to stop becomes very, very difficult.
Some people are also reaping from these fake drugs that you are talking about.
They are making a lot of millions from it. They are making millions. In fact, there was a time during Dora Akunyele's time that there was a man that was involved in fake drugs. And the man, he went to China to make paracetamol of an indigenous company here in Nigeria, and he went to neighboring West African countries to sell it. And Dora Akunyele went there, he saw these products, he said, and the owner of the company said, I did not send my products here. They now trace it to this man that is involved with it, and they realize that he has a lot of money. They say, okay, instead of you doing fake, why not do the original? We will register you. We will register your company so that you desist from this thing. So, and I think the man repented and he was able to have his own manufacturing outfit and is doing well today.
So how would you now describe the impact of fake drugs on Nigerians?
Yeah, it's like, it is, in fact, the impact is so much because some people, because of fake drugs, they have lost their lives. Because these drugs are metabolized in kidneys and also in liver. So when your liver is being compromised, you have a lot of problems. When your kidney is compromised, you have a lot of problems. You can die of liver disease. You can die of kidney disease. So a lot of people have died silently that we did not even know. Then also, if you are hypertensive and you use a fake drug, your blood pressure will not be controlled properly. Therefore, you can get stroke. And from stroke, you can even, meet your untimely death. So a lot of people have died from it. A lot of people, instead of going back to work on time, they spend much time treating an ailment that's supposed to have treated just for 3 days. So fake drugs have done a lot of damage to our economy, to individuals and also to corporate organizations. because the corporate organizations expect their workers to be at work on time and do this work, but because they are not getting well on time, they spend much time home, and therefore the organization will lose in terms of economy. So it is a thing that we really need to check and stop finally.
So check and stop. So how does one identify fake drugs?
To identify fake drugs, I think it is very difficult because, especially now that we have a lot of technology. So, and they go to Asian countries.
Oh, you go ahead.
They go to Asian countries to make these things. So they perfect it. In fact, some of these manufacturers, what they do is that they will show them their fake drugs, that this is fake, this is your own drug. Can you identify? Some of them will even pick the fake, as their drug. But they are not, because they make sure they put the name of that person. Like if they want to fake Emzo paracetamol now, they will go to China and give them everything. They package everything. So they will now write it as if it's made in Nigeria. The product will look the same. So it will be very difficult. The only thing is you have to consult your pharmacist, so that for advice. And also there is something they now do. They call it mobile authentication. So there is something they put on that drug, in which case you can scratch it.
Exactly, because I will still go back to that mobile authentication.
Okay.
That's the one we refer to as PIN.
Yes.
We will still go back to that. But before we go to that, we'll take a break now. When we'll come back, we'll continue with our discussion. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you are just joining us, I see here have Mr. Adiremi Alfred Olukoju, the chairman of Association of Hospital and Administrative Pharmaceutical in Ondo State here. And together we're taking a look at fake drugs and its implication on Nigeria's economy. Yeah, before we went on that break, we were actually talking about the pin that we'll have at the back of the drugs that we'll buy all over. Still, this has not stopped the issue of fake drug.
Yes, because it has not been made compulsory on the manufacturers to put the pin. The manufacturers are putting it to save their product. They are not considering the customers. They are not considering the populace, really. They just want a situation where they will not fake their own product. So if the government wants to save the life of the people, they can make it to be compulsory, for the manufacturers.
So are you advocating that every drug should have this pin?
If it will stop fake drug totally, it will be good. It will be good because, the government can even encourage them by what they call subsidizing them. Because you couldn't imagine, the kind of embarrassment Nigeria has in the case of codeine. It was international embarrassment. And, because of our nature, we see it as a way of making money. Even some manufacturers, because we never thought about our youths that are dying. That are being,
I think codeine is a case of drug abuse.
Yes, it's a case of drug abuse.
Okay.
Codeine is supposed to be the codeine syrup is supposed to be a syrup that you use to treat cough. But because codeine is very close to morphine and cocaine, so they can get some effects, a kind of hallucination, in which case you overperform and things like that. So when they discover that, they now abuse it. You understand? So, and at the end of the day, people just see it as it's their life. They can destroy their life. So far, I'm making my money. But unfortunately, the white people know that, when people are dying, one way or the other, it will affect you. When you don't take care of your neighbor, it will affect you eventually. And that is why they are taking care of us. Even they don't have AIDS as we have it. We have a lot of people that have, HIV and AIDS. and they are sending drugs for us free of charge because they know that eventually if they did not treat us, it will affect them. So, but unfortunately here, we don't think that way. We are always thinking, oh, Basha to come here to family me. If it does not affect me and my family, why should I, bother?
So what is the role of the regulatory body, NAFDAC, in this case?
Yes, NAFDAC has a role to play, in fact, a major role. But unfortunately, NAFDAC does not have enough personnel. They are not recruiting the way they're supposed to recruit. And also, they are a bit limited by the nature of our people. It's just like the police controlling crime. Bribery and corruption has also entered NAFDAC. So it has affected us in one way or the other. Let me give you an example. If you are selling unethical drugs is a drug that you prescribe. You have to prescribe it before you use it. The doctor will prescribe it, then go to the pharmacist to get it. And these drugs, you don't need to write anything. You don't need to put any picture. So the NAFDAC man will have, regulated the product. This is the way your product should be. But the businessman will now decide to put the picture when he's bringing it in. So when the NAFDAC official at the border now see it, why did you put picture? I beg, sir. And before you know it, money exchanges and it enters into our system. So if a patient or a customer that does not know anything about drugs, just see it, they wrote kidney, they wrote liver. That means I can use it.
And the pictures are there.
The pictures are there. So they just begin to use it just like paracetamol. And before you know it, they have liver problem, they have kidney problem. So NAFDAC too, they have to really look inward and take away their bad eggs so that the health of our nation, as they said, will be safeguarded.
You're also a leader in pharmaceutical business. What would you say is the role of this organization in ensuring that we do not have fake drugs in our society?
Yes, by the grace of God, at least some of the places you can get good drugs are the hospitals today, because every professional has their own role to do. They allow the pharmacist to perform his function the way it's supposed to be performed. The doctor will do his own. The nurse will do his own. So there is no cross. We are not crossing ourselves. Therefore, the pharmacist is given the power to go to the manufacturer and buy genuine drugs. So if the patient...
Is it because they can identify...
yes, it's part of it. They can identify, then they know where those manufacturers are.
Okay.
They can relate with them. They can talk to NAFDAC. So they will even be afraid. And they are being paid by government. So they don't have, economy at their mind. They say, let me make profits by all means. So, and that is why we make sure that they still maintain that standard, in which case every professional will have his own place to play in the hospital setting.
Would you say the hospitals will have enough drugs to sell to members of the public?
The problem we have now is that, there was a time they have free drugs because drugs are not always cheap, But now we are, the government of our able governor, Arakunrin Rotimi Akeredolu, is want to put in what they call NHIS, in which case it's an health insurance scheme. You will pay a premium, which might not be too much. Then at the end of the day, the drugs will be available for you.
Okay.
You can just pay 10% and you'll be taken care of. So it's like everybody is contributing to a pool, in which case, let's say 100 of us, we contributed. At the end of the day, it could be one or two that will get sick. So that person will be taken care of very well. So that's the only way. Okay. And by the grace of God, the government is working very hard. And I think they've launched it presently. Now they've launched that health scheme, and it will take effect any moment from now.
I know quite well that your members from the national were also in town lately, maybe last week or so, to actually ensure that we do not have fake drugs on the counters. So what can you say about this?
Yes, there is a particular conference that is going on right away. Right from Monday, we've started it, and we are still on it in Sokoto. And all we are discussing is about how to make our health, to be secured in this country, because a lot of insecurity and it's entering into the health system. And if you allow it to continue the way it is, this Boko Haram and religious will be a child's play. And we are working very well on it. And by the grace of God, we are going to come up with a memorandum at the end of a communique at the end of the conference, in which case we'll release to the public and advise the government on the way to go.
You also have a bill before the National Assembly. How far has the bill gone?
Yes, that last year, before the expiration of the 8th Assembly, we had it passed both by the lower house and the upper house, and it went to the presidency. But unfortunately, the president could not sign it. We didn't know what happened. The president is a very busy person, and he loves good things. He's a man of integrity. But unfortunately, he could not sign it. But what we are doing is that we want to represent it. And they said we should represent it so that they can sign it. By the time they sign it, by the grace of God, all these problems of fake and
exactly. I wanted to ask you that ultimately, what do you hope to get from this bill?
Yes, what we want to get from the bill is to regulate the profession. Those people that don't have business with drugs, handle drugs. That is the basic line. Because if you have business to do with drugs and you handle drugs, you handle with care. But when you look at it as a commodity, as a means of enriching yourselves, you will not handle it very well.
Does it have anything to do with open drug market?
Yes, definitely. Because this open drug market, anybody can go there and buy anything. We have it in Onitsha, we have it in Kano, we have it in Lagos. They will not ask you, are you a pharmacist or you are not a pharmacist? You want to buy? What do you want to buy? I want to buy codeine. Take. I want to buy this. Take. It's a kind of market. So you don't regulate anything, because in pharmacy, when you want to sell drugs, there is a particular book they call poison book. You have to register it. You have to write it there. But unfortunately, they are not doing this. They won't make their own products even in that market. So by the time we regulate them very well, we have little or no fake in our society.
As a professional,
yes, sir.
If you are to advise government on how to check these fake drugs, what would be your advice?
My advice number one is to pass that bill, then to get enough personnel for our regulatory society, and also to let those people that are supposed to be expert in drugs to handle drugs. If you go to most of these francophone countries, even Benin Republic there, you will not see drugs the way it's being managed in Nigeria. If you go to the UK, they even know. Some of our people that travel abroad, what do? They buy these drugs here and go abroad with them because they cannot go and access drugs. Even paracetamol, it will be difficult for you because they will give you only the little that you need. But we our people here, they buy drugs. So
maybe because of a self-medication.
Yeah, yes, that's it. Okay. They've passed through what you have passed through, and they have gone to a better level because they developed country. So they know what drugs can do, and that is why they control it. So when we do that also here in Nigeria, we will get to where they've gone.
For those who are watching us, for them to get genuine drugs, where should they go to?
Yes, for you to get genuine drugs, presently in Nigeria now, you should go to the pharmacist. The pharmacist, you can get them in the hospitals. These are the hospital pharmacists. You can also get them in the community. They are the community pharmacists. And it is better for you to ask, do we have a pharmacist here? So that you can get advice. Don't just say, I want this, I want that. You have a right, to ask. You have a right to say, what is this drug for? Don't just believe in those people that will tell you, buy this, buy that. Ask questions. Then also, don't forget, you need to have a doctor. You don't need to be very rich. It could be your friend, it could be your brother. It could be a relative. Get him as your doctor. Get advice. Also get somebody like a pharmacist. Get advice. So that you will make sure you will not, endanger your life and the life of your family and also the economy of Nigeria because you are very useful to us.
And so invariably that will not affect the economy.
Yes, that is it.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
For sharing your thought with us.
It's a pleasure.
That's our first. We are going to go on the show today. Join us on Friday for another beautiful package of the program. Kunle Ariyo is my name. Good morning.
ká gbàdúrà sí bàbá. Bàbá lókè ṣàánú fún wa. Tó bá dalẹ̀ o ká gbàdúrà sí bàbá.